Hey everybody, welcome back to Mr. Rogers' class. Today, we're going to be looking at this book called I Had Trouble in Getting to Solla Sollew. And this is by the very own Dr. Seuss. So today we're actually going to be only reading a portion of this book, and we're going to be looking at something called concepts of print. So, what is concepts of print? So it's how you would read and orient a book when you're holding it or flipping through it for a class. So to kind of teach students their own concepts of print, you might start off by showing them a book and saying, well, which is the cover? You know, which side of the book am I supposed to be starting on? Do I hold it this way? Hold it this way? This way maybe? So we're going to start with the orientation. So you ask, okay, which way should I hold this? And then the student might say, oh, well, of course it's this way, Mr. Roger. This is how we want to be holding the book. And I'd say, very good. And I'd say, so, where would we start reading? You know? Is this called Veloso Alosa? At Ginta In? No. That's backwards, right? That's backwards. We don't start down here and start reading backwards. So we might say, do we start up here? Where do we start? Start here? Students say, yeah, of course we start there. Okay. Say, I had trouble in getting to Solla Sollew. Perfect. So we'll open the book and we'll say, do we open to the front? Do we open to this side of the book? Or are we going to open it this way and read this way through the book? No, or should we start in the middle, maybe? Should we start in the middle? Maybe that's how we're supposed to read it. We read it one way this way and then that? No. So we'll ask students, we'll say, is this where we're supposed to start? I start at this side of the book, and I read it from left to right, as in orienting pages left to right. You know? So we're going to read this page first if there was words here, and then this one, and then we're going to go to the next page. So we'll look at it. So since there's nothing on here, we're going to start off on this page, right? But where do we start? Where do we start when we get to our first page? We see our text right here. Do we start down here? Maybe over here? You know, up here? Okay? Yeah, so we start at the top left-hand side of the text on the page. And so we'll start here. We'll say, I was real happy and carefree and young. So that's the first line. So where do we go from there? Do we go down to the next one? Left-hand side, or do we read from the right-hand side back to the left now that we're over here? So, you know? No, of course. Student might say, no, we start left-hand side. We move one line down. So let's see if this page makes sense when we read it like that. We'll say, I was really happy and carefree and young, and I lived in a place called the Valley of the Vang. And nothing, not anything, ever went wrong. Until, well, one day, I was walking along. And I guess I got careless. I guess I got gawking at daisies and not looking where I was walking. So that brings us to our next concept of print. So see how we flip the page this way, right? We want to be trying to read from the left to the right, and then go to the next page, same thing, left to the right. So we'll start back up at the top. We'll read back down, left to right. And that's how it started. Sock! What a shock! I stubbed my big toe. Oh, on a very hard rock. And I flew through the air, and I went for a sail, and I sprained the main bone in the tip of my tail. Look at that. Gorgeous illustration in this book. So, we can see that by using our technique of starting at the top left-hand side of the text on the left-hand side of each page, and then moving down one line, and again, moving back to the left and reading to the right on every line, so far our story makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot more sense than reading the other way. So now we finally see we got text on two sides. We got text down here, you can see right here, and we got text right here. So remember what I was saying earlier? How we're going to try and start on the left-hand side, move to the right. So everything in reading, in the English language, that is, starts on the left page or the left side of the text. in the first line. So we'll start over here and we'll move this way. See how that works. Now, I never, ever had trouble before. So I said to myself, I don't want any more. Move over here. If I watched out for the rocks with my eyes straight ahead, I'll keep out of trouble forever, I said. You see, he's walking, making sure he doesn't run into any rocks. To this page, start up here, move to the next. But watching ahead, well, it just didn't work. I was watching those rocks, then I felt a hard jerk. A very fresh green-headed Will sneaked up from in back and bit me on the tip of my tail. And I learned there are trouble of more than one kind. Some come from ahead, and some come from behind. It's another good way to engage your students, or engage your readers that you're reading your book to, is to maybe even point your finger up where you're reading so they can follow along. Point it up, left, move it over to the text, move it over. So I asked to myself, now I'll just have to start to be twice as careful and be twice as smart. I'll watch out for the trouble in the front and the back sections, but aim my eyeballs in different directions. I found this to be quite a difficult stunt, but now I was safe, both in back and in front. The new trouble came from above and below, the scrits at my neck and the skrinks on my toe. And now I was really in trouble, you know. These rocks and the quill and the scrits and the skinks, I had so many troubles, I just couldn't think. Anyway, so this is a very long book, so we're not going to read through the whole thing today. But, as you can see, from starting at the front of our book, so we'll call this the front, we move to the left, always moving to the left, as we flip our pages one at a time. And we find our first portion of text, and we always start at the top, left-hand side of our text, move to the right, and we just go down one line, start back at the left, move to our right. Pronouncing each word from left to right as well. And each letter, from left to right. And that'll give us our words. Then we keep going through our book. Keep going through our book one page at a time until we get to the very end of our tale. And once there's no more words, obviously that's the end of the book. We'll close it up. And you can read the backs of it if you want. So, that, for today, is our concept of brain. Thank you.